Okay, I'm going to try something a little crazy tonight. I've got my buggy with me. I did a Bible handout. Walk around this to get an idea. It was really fun navigating everything today. But the funny thing is I'm getting home about the time I usually do. I'm going to try this. I think it'll work. So, as I push it home, you can see me. So, I did the Bible handout. Dad had a medical thing this morning. They were going to knock him out. So, I wanted to be home. I didn't want to take an important call if I was out somewhere. You know, that's not, I think, respectful to Mom. So, I stayed home. And I finally got the news around, 3:30, therefore that everything was okay. So I decided to do a handout, and the buggy was mostly loaded. It took me maybe in half an hour to finish my preparations. And I had a fair amount of English and Spanish. And I really prayed about it on the way to the bus stop where God wanted me to go, because I'm going to put it down and get a drink here. Because, I want to go where He's sending me, not where I think I need to go. And the two different venues are in opposite directions, so quite a ways apart. So oh, good. I had something stuck in my teeth. It would not come out. I need to get some of those toothpicks. Okay, so I prayed about it, and I felt I should go to Greenspoint. So that involves two buses. I had to catch the 85 across the street and go north to the Greenspoint Transit Center. And the driver was very nice and used the lift. So I was able to eat. There's a metal plate that flips out and touches the ground, so I can just roll the buggy up instead of trying to root it up, because this bad boy is pretty heavy. And isn't it nice, all this lighting? And I got to the very nice driver, because this is a big obstacle. This to me is like the borderline of rude and respectful size of things to take on the bus. So I wouldn't want to take anything larger than this or broader. It was only as wide and deep as a milk crate. It was tall, but it was only about the size of a milk crate, so I felt okay about that. And I wasn't asking anybody to help me either, because it's my problem. And, me, I'm very stubborn, I'm very proud, so. Anyways, I got to the transit center, and I caught the 56. And again, a very nice driver used the lift. And, easy to get on there, and I told the driver where I was going, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, well, And they basically kind of said, well, yeah, that area really needs Jesus. And I said, yeah, that's why I go. And, I got to the median. I parked the buggy, I unrolled the sign, and people were already yelling for Bibles. It wasn't like high demand or epic or, a doorbuster, but it was a good steady handout. And the interesting thing is, I was going, there were a lot of cars that would stop, and I could tell they wanted a bottle, but they wouldn't ask for it. But if I went over and offered it, they were taking it. In fact, they wanted everything I had in my arms, so I was giving it. Of course, if you want a bottle, you're getting it. And one lady asked me for 3, and I had 4. I said, why don't I just give you an extra? And she said, I said, you can go places I can't. And she's like, oh. And she got it immediately. So, yeah, that's always my attitude. You can go places I can't. I can go on the bus. various stores. I can go to Cracktown, but like there are doors that are shut to me pretty much. So well, shut to me with the gospel, but not shut to you with the gospel. So that's why I'm always, I try to be generous with that. And and there were just a lot of really nice kids, young people, like, late teens, early 20s, and they were obviously really seeking God and His will for their life. And I just found that so promising, that there's still people out there, still kids out there. Anybody younger than me is a kid. It could have been my child that really wanted a relationship with Jesus, and that's so important. And I did have a very funny moment though. I'm holding the sign that says free Bibles, and a car with two guys who were Mormons. They were wearing the outfit, they had the name badge and everything on. Stopped, pulled up, and were gaping at me, and I started laughing, and they started laughing, and they rolled the window down. And I said, "Hey, I got a great idea for you guys." And I pointed at the sign, and they were shaking their head like, no, hell no. And, it was funny, I thought. But they went on their way, and I hope they seek Jesus. My understanding of the Mormons, they don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. So I need to bone up on that, I guess. I have Kingdom of the Cults in my Kindle books. I need to download it to my cell phone. So, it was a good handout, and I had enough drinks. And the interesting thing about this handout, it was pretty warm. And I always have a conundrum when I go to Greens Point that I need to stay hydrated, but there are no bathrooms available to me. They have shut all those doors. Even though I was nice, I was respectful, I gave them money, I bought things, I left it in good condition, but they didn't care. So, I didn't ask God about it, and I should have. But it's like He put a hold on my bladder, and I didn't really have any urgency until I was near a bathroom, and then it's like, okay, we need to use this now. And it was a really horrible bathroom, people. Really bad. I have a picture I took of it. I don't know if I'll ever put it online, but it was pretty bad. There was really profane graffiti written everywhere, racial slurs and stuff. It was just bad. So I was out there just 2 hours. It was very interesting. And I did about a milk crate full of whole Bibles, and very few of the small Bibles. Not a lot of people wanted, if I offered a big Bible, they were taking it. And if it's someone in a car, I would rather give them a whole Bible so they have the whole Word of God. If it's some guy walking around and this bad neighborhood, he doesn't necessarily want to be flashing a whole Bible, then I'm fine giving him a small New Testament to kind of slide in his pocket, because they generally wear the baggy pants or shorts that have pretty good sized pockets. I'm going to go across the street here. I'm wearing a safety vest, so they'll see me if they come up from behind. So it was a good handout, and like I said, not a bestseller, but I did all right, and I had enough Spanish. I was worried because as I was getting ready for it, I was, oh, what a nice cat. It's like a white or a light orange cat just walked across the street, about half a block up. And I do not have any treats. I gave my cat treats to some kids who had a puppy on the bus, and the puppy looked kind of skinny, and I thought, well, a cat treat is better than nothing. So, and my vet once said that dogs can eat cat food, but cats cannot eat dog food. So, And somebody else recently told me they have a sick old dog and they feed it cat food and it's in great health. So, who knows? That he gives, that was man, he said he gives the dog the food the cats don't eat. And, because cats are notorious for not finishing their food. And it's very healthy, and that way he doesn't have like uneaten food sitting around stinking up the place. So yeah, it was a driver. I had him a couple days ago. So anyways, I wrapped it up. I had the small sign on the front of the cart, and I had crossed Imperial Valley, and I was halfway across Greens, and I heard a young lady yelling behind me, hey, Bibles. And I stopped. I turned around, and I had the buggy, still on the ground, like that. And she said, hey, can I get a Bible? And I said, well, how many would you like? That's always going to be my question. How many? And she said, 3. And I said, well, sure. And I started digging. I pulled out 4, and she took 4, because I told her, that you know somebody who needs this, and you can go places I can't. And I don't think anybody's ever given me back the extra either. So, and I saw a lot of drivers too. That was fun. And they were very kind and supportive. They were smiling. They were waving. 1 or 2 even honked at me, which I always love. I love it if you honk at me on a Bible handout. And some of the recipients, passersby, were like honking, waving. One lady made a heart with her hands. And I just thought that was really sweet and encouraging, because it's been a while since I've been out there. And one guy, he was a Spanish speaker in a pickup truck. He got very, very excited when he saw me. He parked his truck in the middle of the street and came running over, and he was yelling something in Spanish. And I realized he was an evangelist, and he was thanking me for, doing outreach. And he said, I want to do something for you. And I said, I'm okay. I said, what I need is prayer. And I made praying hands, with my hands. And he started nodding. And it just came to me. And I said, Diablo no gusta. And I pointed at myself. And he started laughing. He said, sí, no gusta. And he got back in his car and he left. But what I've told him was the devil doesn't like what I do, which is 100% accurate. And there's likely some kind of attack that is imminent on me. I don't know what. It could be depression, a migraine, work troubles. I don't know. But it's likely coming, unless God decides to shield me from it. But the devil doesn't like what I do. And a lot of people got the Word of God in their hands today. He does not like that either. And one thing I always find heartbreaking when I'm doing a handout is that they're looking at me. They're looking at the sign and they're just kind of yearning, but they're not ready to take the step of asking, and then the light changes and it's too late. And somebody behind them is honking, so they have to keep going. That is hard for me. Sometimes they come back, but not often. And it was pretty much just, I didn't really have to play in traffic this time either. Sometimes I do with DeSoto, but not today. And but I was out there for 2 hours. I felt like I did God's will. I was hydrated. I have a small headache, but I think that's just because it was a hectic day. And also I ate pretty late. Normally I eat my dinner like 4 or 5, and I didn't eat until about an hour ago. And I had been thinking about it. And when I go to the Vietnamese grocery store, there's a taco truck across the way. They always have people waiting in line at the taco truck. They always have delicious looking charcoal smoke coming out of a little chimney. And it smells great. So I thought after I was done tonight, because plan A was to go and get pupusas, but it was after 8 when I finished. And I don't want to be the person that comes in the last minute. I hated that when I had the deli. I don't like it working at retail. I don't want to be that person. I want to enjoy my meal without somebody looking at their watch in the back every 5 minutes. So I decided the taco truck is always open late. So I went there. It was very, very good, guys. Very good. I made an animal of myself on that quesadilla. It was not pretty. I had grease all over my hands, the table. I cleaned it up as best I could. But it was delicious. It was worth every penny I paid. I gave him a nice tip. I gave him a gospel packet in Spanish, so I'm happy. And I gave him a good review on Google. Because, guys, if you enjoy a small business, you need to let the world know you enjoy the small business, so they will stay in business. And God forbid you have a really terrible experience like I did with ARS. You can tell the world about that, but you need to speak, because these guys, those reviews are life or death for them. So I left a good review with pictures. I took a picture of their hours, and I took a couple pictures of the truck, and I took a picture of my food. I didn't want to take a lot of pictures of the food because I wanted to eat it, and it was good. Very smoky flavor, nice smoky flavor, very delicious. And I'm gonna check my mail real quick, and because I found out ex-retired teachers really don't leave that alone. Don't hit my buggy. Don't hit my buggy. Don't hit my buggy. Okay, yeah, don't hit the buggy. Okay. Guess what? I live here too. Oh, they've turned on my street. So, and so I ate, and then I went across the street and waited on my bus and wrote the review while I was waiting on the bus, and then I came home. So, it was a good day. I was able to get a nap. That was nice. I spent some really good quality time with Spotty too, my orange boy. He's very much a mama's boy, and he needs serious one-on-one time now and then. And he got that for hours. He was in my lap, and he's having the time of his little life. So I wish I could do that every day, but say somebody won the Powerball and wrote me a check for $50 million, I cannot stay in that house all day. I have to go out and work. I have to go out and do something every day. So almost every day. So that's why I did the handout today instead of tomorrow. And also, it's going to rain tomorrow, they say. So and yet again, they let me on the bus looking like this. So all praises to the king on that. My neighbors have put out their trash cans, which means I need to put out my trash can too. Also, I'll probably be up pretty early, so I don't think I'm going to worry about it. But, yeah, so that was my day. It was good. I don't know how many Bibles I did at the venue. I handed out several on the way home. People were stopping me when they saw the little sign. And there was a guy on the bus, the 85 that I took to go ride down to the taco truck. And I basically gave him some testimony about Ron and his drinking problem and how God got me through that. And when he got off, he said, are those Bibles in there? And I said, yes. Would you like one? And he said, yes. And I gave him one. And I made sure he got one of those index cards that says, I'm praying for you daily. And he was showing it off to everybody on the bus. Look, she gave me a Bible, she gave me a Bible. So I'm very, very glad I did that. And, that's why I go. And I know society says that probably 95% of my recipients are not valuable people. But they're valuable in God's eyes. And that's all that matters to me. What does God want me to do? And then I go do it. So that is my life. So that is it.